Hello friends, so let's talk about AI for software testers. A general look at where artificial intelligence is heading for real testers. So let's start by explaining what AI really is. If you are a software tester and you are here to start driving your daily deliverables with AI, I would say you're snoozing. But again, it's never too late to get started. So let's start by let me start by explaining what AI really is. So think of AI, artificial intelligence, as a software with a brain. That should explain, what AI is basically. So look at scenarios like instead of you spelling out every single steps, what the program does is it watches things like examples you put in, it notices patterns and then does the smart thing by itself. So yes, it recognizes patterns, helps make choices, like send an alert if, for example, maybe the inputted number is wrong during testing. It learns from practices, for example, the more email I see, the better I get, a spotting spam, as well as, understand languages. So you ask questions, it answers you in plain English. So yeah, so instead of you telling the program every step, it simply just learn patterns on its own. Spotting what looks like hard, helping you to sort things into buckets, or even, talking back to you in plain English. Now, now let's talk about what makes AI a superpower. There are three key things you can see on my screen: the machine learning, the natural language processing (NLP), and the CV itself. So the first is machine learning. So machine learning (ML), what it does basically, it's a model that learns from historical data to predict or classify things into groups. So for example, let's use emails to explain this. So you get multiple emails in your inbox. Email one looks like spam. Email two looks stale. So learning from this historical data, machine language can say, oh, I have seen this before, so I can guess what happens next. Oh, I've seen this email before. This is a spam coming from this source, stuff like that. So it's important that testers should care about AI. It's very important. So right now I'm talking about the three superpowers of AI. The first one is machine learning. What can machine learning help testers achieve? It could also help you point you to code areas that are most likely to break, and all this comes from learning from historical data, things that has happened in the past, things you have seen in the past, patterns that the AI has seen in the past. So again, it can help you, prioritize what to test, where to look out for bugs, save you execution time, reduces flakiness in your test. Example is it could let you run only the important 10% of your huge test suite instead of everything. It helps you group what's important, what I think we should run for this regression, and so on. It can as well predict which file, features, or user story are most bug prone in the next sprint. So again, like I said, ML learns from historical data. I'm going to give more example around this. So an example is let's look at let's use Jira for example. You train a mini model on your past Jira bugs, and flag any pull request that touches the same shaky files. So for example, you can generate a table of your past Jira bugs reports and feed the table into an algorithm like random forest or XGBoost. When you feed it into this algorithm, these tools, it can help you predict bugs that are likely to occur from this data. All right. The second superpower that makes AI what it is today is the natural language processing, known as NLP. Now, in plain English, what it does basically is it understands and generates human language by passing logs, analyzing requirements, creating test ideas, and so on. So, in simple in English, NLP can read logs, tickets, specifications like human. So, that's basically NLP. We've talked about ML, learning from historical data. Now we're looking at NLP, which what it basically does, it understands logs, reads from logs, existing tickets that pile up in the backlog, even specifications, documents like an human being. So why does this matters to testers? Let's give an example. Imagine there's a crash log with about 5,000 lines, and imagine you spending your whole day reading these logs, going through each line, that's a whole lot. And you can find out that this 5,000 lines of code or logs could just be one or two issues, So what NLP does is it can help you group this log into just 1 to 3 real issues. Yes, this will simply help you eradicate unnecessary lines of code or duplicate noise in your log. So it can help you slash time spent on manual review of docs or logs or tickets, allowing you as a tester focus on more important things like exploratory tests. So like I mentioned, it can read requirements. It can as well, highlight missing edge cases, in your requirements. It's clear that, applying AI makes your work faster, efficient, and smart. So you want to give this a try. For example, you could just, paste a user story into ChatGPT and ask which acceptance criteria am I missing. As simple as that. Now, the third superpower that makes AI what it is today is the computer vision, also known as CV. So in plain English, I would say what CV does is it gives software the ability to see, and do things like screenshot comparison, visual UI testing. So in simple English, I would say CV is simply saying, I can see the screen like a human eye. Basically, that's what CV does. So why should tester care? For example, it can help tester catch a button that drifted, let's say, like 2 pixels left, after a CSS tweak. Some of these UI bugs, we miss them as a tester. An alignment that looks good today could break or could shift tomorrow, maybe due to some changes in the code. So again, it can help verify your mobile UI looks good on different devices. Like it helps you check it's good on Galaxy Fold, it's good on S24 Ultra, it's good on Infinix, and so on. So a quick starter guide or idea for host testers is, for example, you can use a free passive snapshot to test. You see things like red light means something moved or disappear. It's something you can play around. All right, so let's look at another way to illustrate the 3 superpowers of AI. So starting with ML. So imagine ML as a friend who watched every episode of your project bug show. The moment a familiar plot twist appears in a new code, they tap you on the shoulder. Hey friend, I've seen this before. Brace for a crash. So what I'm trying to say here, imagine a friend. Imagine ML as a friend who has watched every episode of your project bug show. So he knows all the bugs that currently exist. So the moment he sees a similar pattern, he quickly taps you on your shoulder that, hey guy, I've seen this before, so let's embrace for a crash here. So that's an illustration on ML. For NLP, natural language processing, see it as the intern who skims 100 pages of logs in a coffee break and hands you a sticky note. So he has taken time to go through 1,000 logs up to 5,000 logs, during his coffee break. So and according why doing that is all these error points to the same null pointer in payment service. So why doing that, he can easily tell when it sees something familiar. For example, it sees that all these errors that are coming points to the same null pointer in payment serving, because it has taken time to go through the 1,000 pages of logs during its coffee page. So when it sees something familiar, I can easily point it out that, hey, this is particular to this feature, or it's coming from this side. So that's on NLP. Now for computer vision, CV, let's see it as the teammate with the eagle eyes who notices the checkout button turned gray on dark mode phones, even though every functional test is passed. So what it does basically is focusing on the UI, sharpening his eagle eye, looking for misalignment, colors that are broken, or buttons that are shifted, and so on. So that's CV for you. So do you know Netflix recommender is basically an eternal A/B test on autopilot, learning from every click to serve you your next show. So what Netflix recommendation engine does basically, it learns from millions of viewing sessions, cluster users' preferences, and surfaces personalized suggestion. That's what the engine basically does. So think of it as a massive, always running A/B test driven by a machine language model that constantly self-validates. So why does AI matters to testers? We've looked at the three superpowers of AI: the ML, the NLP, and the CV. Starting with ML, as you can see here, it says ML save time. It makes your work efficient. Example is with machine, learning, you can train long regression suits to the riskiest 5 to 10%, saving you hours of everyday pipeline run. 2, NLP. It helps with things like a user. It helps you with coverage. So NLP can read through thousands of logs, line, or requirements in seconds, surfacing weak spots human might skip. Thirdly, CV, it sees more. It's user-centric quality. So CV checks what real users see, catching visual bugs still invisible to the dumb assertion. So those UI bugs that the human eye can skip or miss, CV helps you catch it. All right, moving on. So this is my takeaway. Embracing AI, that is ML, NLP, and CV, doesn't replace tester. It amplifies them. That's what it does basically. So automating repetitive checks so human creativity can hunt the real risks. That's why we need AI. So as a tester, if you snooze on AI, you will become outdated. Quality engineering moved fast in the early days. Automation has happened yesterday. Now, AI is today. Something new tomorrow. If you snooze and stick to the same practices, your skill will freeze while tooling evolves. You will start relying on colleagues who can wield the new tech, and opportunities will pass you by. So my friends, this is time for us to start making use of AI, learning AI tools that can help us deliver our work quicker, smarter, and more efficient. Thank you for watching.